Welcome back to part 2. Here we're going to create a server. I'm going to use Node.js, and then I'm going to bring in these codes that we have here from the previous video. If you haven't seen it, check it on part 1, and I'm going to put everything on GitHub. You actually don't need to watch the other video. If you just want to learn how to do the server part, you can just jump in on here. But if you wanted to see how I recreated all the file and stuff, you can watch the other video. Anyway, let's start. The first thing is I'm in the process branch. I need to make a new branch. I'm just going to call it server. But since I'm using Git, obviously, I don't need to run the Git function. And then it's going into the server branch, and then that branch, I'm going to create a folder called server. Then I'm going to go into this folder, but for that, I'll just reopen the folder itself so that I can just work in that folder. And because I'm going to be installing a whole bunch of stuff, I'll say save, and then I'll open here. And then because I'm working in that branch, I need to ignore some things. So I'm going to make a git ignore file. Then I'm going to ignore all the installations I'm going to make on here, but I'm going to have a package JSON file that's going to keep track of everything. And if you want to use it, you just have to install them. But I don't want to be transferring all those files to the internet, but you're just going to know. I'm going to ignore the node modules and also just the environmental files where I'm going to put some stuff in there. It doesn't matter. Anyway, let's get started. I need to initiate a package.json. And to do that, I'm going to start it up with that. Oh, actually, I'll just go through the process. Maybe it's -y, which is going to just grab all the defaults, but I'll just go through the process itself, and I'll just press enter. Entry point, instead of entering on the index, I'm just going to enter on the app.js. That's the way I like to program it. And then keywords, you can put in all that stuff. I'm just going to put my name there. And then I'll just accept the defaults. And you're going to see this package JSON. All the files I'm going to install, they're going to all come in there. Anyway, let's just initiating the project. Let me start with creating the server itself. I'll create a server file. I'm going to use Express for that. I'm going to bring it in. And since I'm bringing it in, if I run this is not going to work. I need to install that. But before that, let me lay out down all the code in there. I'm going to instantiate. I'm going to instantiate an Express file. And I'm going to start listening on port. It can be any port above 1000 or whatever. I'll start listening on, I'll listen on port 5000. If I get an error, it should tell me that there's an error somewhere. So I'll just check. If I do have an error, I'll return a message to my console to let me know that I've encountered an error. And I'm using template strings because the next time I'm going to use an actual variable so that I can just change the variable in the environment file. Yeah, since we have 5,000 there, I'll say go ahead and error. I'll just say encountered an error. But if we don't, the way I'm going to make this up is kind of like an API way. So I'm just going to say API running on load 5,000. But we need this package in there. And then that's why I do have that package JSON. So every package that I install is going to go in there. And in this case, I'm going to install Express. All right. So what else do I need? Well, this is installing. I'm also going to make another file called app. And this is where all my code is going to go. And as you can see there, the package is installed. And now I'm going to run this file. I'll use Node. And you see it's running on port 5,000. And if I go to the website, to a browser, and I'll just say localhost 3,000, if I go there, it says you can't reach that. But I know I've got a server running at 5,000. If I run that, it tells me I don't have the routes, so I need to create those routes, but at least I'm reaching the server on that aspect. Now I'm going to move this app into the app.js, the other one that I just created there, because I like to abstract things in terms of the app, the database. Like, it's easier to maintain that when then you can just add little puzzles in each abstracted item. So I'm going to put that in there, but now I need to connect the server and the app, and I'm going to export this app out. Then I'm going to import it in this file. All right. If I save all that, and then the other thing is this, I want it to automatically like restart the server, because if I ran it and maybe change the API, is running there, and I saved it. This is not automatically updating. I want that to always be the case. So I'm going to go back here and install a development dependency. It's called Node.js. It's going to help me just restart the server, because in this case, if I literally have to go back there, I have to quit the server and restart the server. Is it caching? This should not work. Guess it's caching. But if I ran the app, it crashes. Because I never saved that. Okay, now the API is running on that port. So I'm transferring that. And if I made a change, there's a running on port 6,000. I have to quit that. Then restart it. But I don't want to do that. That's why I'm going to install this dev dependency called Node.js, and it's going to enable me to, whenever I make a change, it's going to be installed in here. Whenever I make a change, it's going to like restart the server and stuff. But now I need to put in a script in here, but I'm not going to do it right now because it's installing and that's going to cause problems. So I'm just going to move on to something else while that's installing. Okay, so I'm done with that. Actually, let me create, I'm going to create this, and then I'm going to create an environment variable, which is going to be a port. I'll put it in the env file. But before I do that, I'm going to grab the port number from that environment file. I'll grab it right now before I create it, but I'm going to use, and if I find it, if I don't find it, I'm going to use a default port 8000. The reason, these numbers are just like random numbers, but I'm changing them up so that you see what's going on. Like I can stick with 5,000 or 6,000, but I'm going to be changing it up so that you notice the changes I'm making. So I'm going to pass it in. So if it doesn't get that, it's going to use 8,000. And here, actually, yeah, encountered an error. I should have passed in that variable right there already. Since I do have the error there. So I'll do the same for the port. And if I run it, it should say 8,000 there. But now we do have this environment file. I'm now going to send in port 9,000. Then if I quit and restarted it, so it's not picking it up. Okay. The reason it's not picking it up is because we need to actually install another dependency, which is a .env. So that's going to enable us to pick up an environment file. So I'll just require it and run it on at the same time. I'll run the config file, and that should only like enable. Okay, so that's installed. As you can see in these packages, it's installed. If I went back there and ran the app again, it should now say 8,000 there. Just to tell you that it's actually working, I'm using 80. But I need to like restart the server all the time. 80. But I don't want to do that, so go back to the package json here. Node.js is already installed. I'll put in a script there, which is going to enable me to restart the server every time. And what I'm going to restart, I'll restart the app.json all the time using this command. I can run Node.js here, but now since I do have that, I'm just going to use the npm command, which is going to enable me to run scripts in here. And I'll say start. And then it's going to now run whatever script I've got in there. Okay, so something happened. Oh. What's going on? Come on. Did I make a typo somewhere? No, yeah, obviously. It's I'm in development, so I'll run that command in there, and that's a command I'm going to run npm dev command. Npm run dev. There we go. Okay, and in this time, so if I made a change, API is running on dev. It restarts on this port. So, see that? Okay, so we have set up that, but when we tried to go to the route, it was giving us this. We cannot actually, since we're now running on this port 8080, we have to go to that one. And then it says it cannot get that. Now we now have to start creating each endpoint in our server. So I'll just quickly create a root endpoint, which is that. And it's going to accept request and the response. And I'll just send back hello world. So whatever we send back here, we should see it back in our website. So you can send in a file, HTML, like you can send in all kinds of stuff. So as you can see, that's coming back there. And at the end of the day, we're going to send in the JSON file that we created back to the website. But before that, I need to do an abstraction again. So I can create this as a full-fledged website, but the way I like to program is to make it as an API to where you can interact with it in multiple places, and all you're going to get back is the data, which you can grab from the website or from other websites or anything you want to do. Because of that, I do another abstraction. So I'm going to rip out this endpoint here, and I'm going to put it in the routes folder. But I want to put that routes in a folder called API. So I'm going to create that folder, and I'll put this file in there, and I'll call it routes. And I'll plaster that in there. But before I do that, I'll plaster it out as a function. That way I can run it in the server, pass it in the app, and then run it in here. So, and then I'm going to export it from here. So it's going to receive an argument, which is the app and all the routes that I'm going to create. I'll put them in there. Just to make sure that this is, obviously, I made a typo. At the end of the day, we're going to also just have like an endpoint called codes here. For now, I'll just leave it blank. Just to make sure that everything is running. Oh, okay, but we need, I'll go back to the environment, like the app running there. I'm going to bring it in. I like to put my imports on top. So I'll bring in that routes. Then I'm going to run it or instantiate it or invoke it, passing in the app. And then it's going to do its thing. And the server is restarted. So that I'm not just saying, I'll say hello codes world. So we should see that whenever we run this. So it's working perfect. But what we're interested in is bringing in those codes. So I'm going to place them. I'm going to bring them in here, and then I'll send them here. So we know the codes are in a folder above, which is in the process. We did that folder. Like, if you don't know where that folder is coming in, watch the previous video. But we have a folder above the server folder, and that's where the codes are. And it's stored in a JSON file, which we call a queue for codes. And then once we grab that, we're going to dump it in to the code. So if I go to that endpoint, I'll get all the codes in that file. But just to be a good programmer, I'm going to say when I receive that, I'm going to say it's okay. 2,200 means okay. And we can send HTTP, like all kinds of file, but in this case, we are sending in a JSON file. So I'll use JSON for that. And if I send it there, and then if I go to that endpoint, it should grab, received all that code, a whole bunch of codes. There's one other thing I need to do with this, but I'm going to do it in the next video, which is I do with a lot of React import whatever statements. So I'm going to redo all these modules.export and imports to use kind of like the React way of doing things. But I will need Babel for that. But I'm going to do it in the next video. So watch that. And then at the end of the day, I'm going to make the React project, like a React app and website for that. And you can grab all these codes by just randomly generating each code for things.